Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, winners? I'm not saying winter like, snow season. I'm talking about winners. You people. You guys, you effective conservatives, you are making a difference. Holy cow. Give yourselves a pat on the back, a hand, because you know what? We have given a left a kick in the butt, or other body parts if you prefer. Welcome to the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. Starbucks sales are down. Target sales are down. Let me stop there and remind you what each of these companies did and why you revolted against them. Starbucks said during refugee resettlement in the Trump travel order that it was going to hire a bunch of refugees to fill its stores. Baristas. In defiance of you and President Trump. And you responded. And Starbucks said, you know what, we need a change in CEO, and they got rid of Howard Schultz. And then they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to hire veterans. And now they got some cheesy commercial. We're hiring veterans. Because you spoke. That's why. Target sales are down. You want to know why? Because Target decided it was going to go into the business of social engineering versus selling household wares. And it decided it was going to jump in the middle of a non-issue where people go to the bathroom, because Target believes that the left dictate its profits. We have been saying, at least I have, for decades, that it is the conservative dollar that is the most important dollar in the United States. See, the leftist dollar is made one of two ways. It's either the filthy rich who have minions do their shopping for them and they buy the luxury stuff, or it is the filthy poor who live off of you and they buy necessities of life. But the stuff that Target sells are not the necessities of life. They're the luxuries of life for the middle class. Things that you decide, you know what? I could use a fifth TV in my home, or a table that I'll sell at a garage sale for 50 cents in 2 years that I'll no longer need. Or glasswares and kitchenware and things like that you've just decided, you know what, I'm tired of the old. I want something newer. They've got a new collection. You are responsible for their profits, but they didn't realize it, and they decided to make transgender bathrooms their issue. And you said, hey, I never worried about where transgender went to the bathroom before. Why are you making it an issue, Target? Because we think it'll look good in our social media platform. It'll make us look politically correct. And you know what you did? You drove their sales into the dirt. Congratulations, people. Movie sales are down. Hollywood is experiencing the worst summer it's had in a long time. And it isn't just movie choices. The movies are out there. It's been the same drivel for decades. But you said, I'm not spending my money on your drivel, Hollyweird. And you revolted. And it is reflecting in the box office. God bless you. Hallelujah. Somebody come over here and wipe the sweat off me. Whew. Feeling like I'm preaching. You want to know what else is down? Award show viewership. You know where the awards people, the left, that give themselves all these glorious awards and then say, hey, award winning this or award winning that or blah, 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 because they just ingratiate themselves because they're so full of themselves. And you said, I ain't watching your crap anymore. I've had enough. VMAs, Video Music Awards, People's Choice Awards, Grammys and Oscars and na. All self-aggrandizement for their leftist indulgence. That's all they do. They indulge themselves. They make more money than God doing what they want to do, what people dream of doing, and it isn't enough because they want to influence you. Global warming. So says Leo DiCaprio. It's the worst thing ever. You have better things to do, Leo. And so does everybody else. George Clooney. Donald Trump is a menace. We just talked about, what's his face? John Legend. John Stevens. That's his real name, John Rogers Stevens or Stephen Rogers or whatever, legend in his own mind. He says Donald Trump is a menace. Donald Trump is... Shut up and sing, you putz. I don't even like his singing. I don't even like George Clooney's acting. When did he become the De Niro, which I hate to compare him to because I don't like De Niro either. He's a great actor who has decided that he's got more to say. So Donald Trump's an idiot. Let me tell you something, Holly Weird, if you're listening. Barack Obama was the idiot. I know you don't like to hear that, but it's a fact, and you know it. And you know to go back on your view of Barack Obama in comparison to Donald Trump makes you look like a stooge. That's why they don't do it. If you wonder why Democrats are so hell-bent, what do they call it, dogmatic, I think that's the word, dogmatic in their love of leftism, it's because they know it's wrong. And when they know it's wrong, what do children do? They have to buy into it fully. I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm mad at you. You're my parent. You think you know everything. Yeah, we do know everything. Conservatives know everything. I'll say it for you. You don't have to brag. I'll brag for you people. Kevin Jackson show will do all your bragging. You just sit there and look pretty. I'll take care of this, okay? I got this here. CNN viewership in the tank. You know why? Because we figured out their fake news, and we got a warrior up there by the name of Donald Trump who is willing to call them out. Ask yourself this. When has anybody as a Republican in the public eye said, I'm going to beat on the media incessantly? I'm talking about every day until I have no air in my lungs. That's what Donald Trump does, and that's why CNN's viewership is down. And let me tell you, hey, MSNBC, is this thing on? We're coming after you. You ain't going to last, you punks. Oops. They're not going to last. NFL viewership in the tank because of you. You people. That's right. You Christian conservative, God-loving, Bible-thumping, military-supporting, American-loving patriots have driven the NFL in the tank. America's sport. Yeah, football. We ain't talking about soccer. We're talking about the real football. You have said to the commissioner and to all the people in the NFL, if you want to social engineer, you can go do it somewhere else. We're turning you off. Folks, I love you. I hope it's mutual. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. Glad to be with you. We had some fun last segment, didn't we? Because I was praising all over you. I was just gushy gooey over you. You conservative, you Christian conservative folks out there. Woo! And see, I didn't put any color on it. I didn't put a gender on it. I put a religion on it. Oh, and by the way, Jewish conservative too. Sorry. Didn't want to leave my Jewish friends out. Oh, not at all. Everybody who espouses to the America that I love and that I know you love, hey, we're friends. You are in the safe zone, baby. I'm glad you're here. 844-551-8255 if you want to call. Jesse Jackson says Donald Trump doesn't qualify to enter Jesus' kingdom. I said that and I almost wanted to start preaching. He doesn't qualify to enter Jesus' kingdom. Donald Trump, he did not qualify to enter Jesus' kingdom. I can just hear Jesse Jackson saying that. Even Farrakhan, I don't think would say that. Donald Trump does not qualify to enter Jesus' kingdom. The great Yahweh. I didn't do it good. I can do a good of Farrakhan, so don't get me started. But right now I'm in Jesse Jackson mode. With Jesse Jackson, you got to kind of talk with the back of your throat and do things like this, say things like that, and you can get Jesse Jackson. And he says Donald Trump. Who is Jesse Jackson to tell who can enter the kingdom of God? I mean, I'm just saying. Look, we're all sinners. But Jesse, whoo. Jess, come on, Jess. Jesse's running. Get this. Jesse Jackson runs Operation, what was it called? I think it's called Rainbow Push or something. Operation Push. Put hope in your brains and not dope in your veins. So he runs a charity, and I use my finger quotes, that the IRS wouldn't touch. They won't audit this fool. That's why he doesn't owe money. Sharpton got audited, and he still owes money. What's the update on Sharpton? Has he paid off his debts? I haven't heard from him. Sharpton's on lockdown. I think when Donald Trump got elected, Al Sharpton went into witness protection. He's like, oh, I'm not about to let that white man kill me. Shoot. It was a couple of race pins. But anyway, Jesse Jackson comes out. He says Donald Trump does not qualify to enter the Jesus kingdom. And I'm just thinking, who is he to say this? For the record, who is anybody to say that? Your walk with Jesus is your walk. Who am I to look, we all sin. And you know what? You fight sin. You cannot conquer sin. I'm just telling you by yourself, you cannot do it. The only thing that happens, I'm being dead serious here, is divine intervention. If you have a vice and somebody knows it, and you are in a vulnerable spot, your dog died, whatever, you lost your job, somebody can stick that vice in front of you and you will be like, you will go for it. Look, I'm not going to preach you. I'm not going to get all Corinthians, 2 Corinthians on you. But I will tell you, in the Bible, it tells you that you can't fight your worldly and bodily pleasures by yourself. You can't do it. The only way you do it is you have to put faith in God. God has to intervene on you because you won't do it. If you like to gamble, you could go, I ain't going to gamble today. But somebody go, hey, dude, we're all going to the casino. And you're like, no, I don't gamble. Just come along, man. Have a drink. And you don't have to gamble. There's lots to do. They got all kinds of things. Well, okay, I'll go there and have a meal. At the poker table. Hey, bring me my burger over here. And some chips. I need a marker. I'm just telling you, it doesn't matter what it is. If your mind wants it, you will fixate on this, and it becomes ugly. And look, that's what makes us human. That is the choice you get in this life. See, when you were a baby, when you were forming in utero, you didn't have any choices. That's why God takes care of the babies. Don't worry about the babies. Even the ones that are aborted, God's got a place for them. And we think, God, we abort so many babies. Trust me, the Lord has plenty of room in his house. Don't make me go all spiritual and get all, start quoting 2 Corinthians here. But, look, don't worry about them. I mean, let's worry about them because it's a mark, it's a stain on humanity. But just Sam, don't worry about them. But because when you're forming, you have no sin. You're good to go. Up to 1.5 years old, you're pretty good. You don't have many memories of it. You get to be about 3, you start learning how to lie. Did you do that? No, not me. Yeah, you did. Little baby. No, they're lying. See, God intervenes and goes, see? And he starts testing you. And your whole life is a test before you enter into this next world. I wrote about this in my first book. I said, this is proof of God. There's not an atheist on the planet who can debate me on what I call proof of God. So you go and they wonder, Kevin, how do you know there's going to be another world? I know there's another world. In as much as I know that I got born out of my mother's womb. I don't remember it, but it happened. I don't think there's anybody going, Kevin, what makes you believe that you were ever in your mother's womb? Because science. So why am I not in my mother's womb on earth waiting to be born into the next realm? Why is that so fanciful? I was going to make up a new word, but let's just stick with fanciful. If what's her face can dream up Harry Potter, why can't I dream up the idea that there's a higher being that's ready to take me in there? And for the record, who is Jesse Jackson to tell me I can't be part of that? Kevin Jackson cannot handle the kingdom of God. Look, I'm a sinner, but I'll promise you this, I'm no bigger sinner than Jesse Jackson. That much. You stick reverend on his name, stick whatever you want on his name. I'm not a bigger sinner than Jesse Jackson, and I'm not trying to compare because that's a bar that's pretty easy to jump over, if you know what I'm saying. Dude was paying for his mistress out of his charity. I'm just saying, that's pretty low. If you're going to have a mistress, to each his own. But don't take other people's money and pay for her. Come on, Hillary. That's what all those leftists do. They are crooked to their core, man. And what was funny when you remember, Jesse Jackson was counseling Bill Clinton on his infidelity with the dress with Monica Lewinsky. Meanwhile, simultaneously, I'm talking about at the very same time, Jesse Jackson was paying his mistress apartment and had her on salary with Operation Push. But he's counseling Clinton. I mean, isn't it fitting that Clinton would bring in Jesse Jackson to do that counseling? Holy cow. That's like Hillary Clinton bringing in Madoff, to counsel her on the Clinton Foundation. Woo! Jesse Jackson. Trump doesn't qualify into the kingdom of heaven. Okay, Jesse. Thank you. Appreciate you enlightening us, Reverend. Man, I'd rather get counseling from Al Sharpton than Jesse Jackson, and you know that's rough.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show. Going to have a little real talk. I love these conversations because they come up so often and we're not doing a deep enough dive on them. So I have come up with a concept where I want to talk about these issues just a little bit deeper than normal. Radio, you get to do that. TV is what frustrates me the most. And I pitched a show where I said, let's go in and take a deeper look at some of these topics that we skim by. Black Lives Matter has only been touched on. It hasn't really been examined. And it's because people are afraid, in my opinion, to touch the topic. But we should be talking about this. We should be talking about issues like recently passed DACA, and I'll touch on that for just a second. And the reason is this. They want you to believe that the DREAM Act is monolithically something that is going to make Mexicans mad. There are many Mexicans in the United States that are going, look, I don't know why you keep letting these illegals in. It's our country too. The George Lopez's of the world are rare. These people are American citizens, or they've got people that have gotten in line or served in the military and earned their way to get this. And suddenly we're supposed to just give this privilege. I use the example of Harvard all the time in talking about, offering somebody education or an Ivy League education. You want to live in, if you say, well, Kevin, Europe has open borders, congratulations, go get that. Go to Europe with open borders. That's like the community college of countries. But if you want to get into Harvard, you got to do something. You got to earn it. You need letters of recommendation. Anyway, that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is there was a BBC documentary back in the 60s, and it's funny to listen to these documentaries. And by the way, I think it was titled something like How White Extremists View Blacks in America, or White Supremacists View Blacks in America. It's one of those words. And I want to play this clip for you because when I heard this documentary, I thought to myself, wow, nothing's changed. This is from the 60s. If by the 80s, black folks were mainstream, we had battled our way out of the civil rights movement and starting to make true strides. The black middle class was born. The black conservative became, we became mainstream. Middle class blacks were all over the place. It wasn't uncommon for somebody to have a black doctor, lawyer, dentist, whatever. We were mainstream. We were integrated into society, etc. And you know what we've done since the 80s? We've segregated. Self-segregated, which is even more disturbing. But let me let you hear this documentary because I want to parse it. But keep in mind, they claim that these people are white supremacists. So pay attention to that as you listen to this.
For history. This Midwestern housewife, like a lot of white Americans, does not think the Negro should present history's bill to her.
We hear so much about the slavery. 300 years ago, our grandfathers were slaves, or 200 years ago, our grandfathers were slaves. Well, for God's sakes, did we have anything to do with that? I had no part in it. I had no slaves. My folks didn't. My grandparents didn't. Are they blaming us for what happened 3 years ago? Let's forget the past. Think of the future. Build up the future. And why keep hemming and hawing over the same thing over and over and over again? And they say, you must give me land because my grandfather was a slave. Well, then I would say, for God's sakes, find the man who had your grandfather as a slave and then demand the land from him. Don't bother me because I had no part of it.
Across the country, we asked whites whether the main reason Negroes had not made more progress was because of racial discrimination or because Negroes have not worked hard enough. This lawyer expressed a view we heard most often.
We find there is a reluctance upon the part of too many Negroes, particularly among the young, to take the hard and remunerative jobs that must be necessary to earn a living. There is a feeling that for some reason somebody owes them a living.
Just about half of whites in our survey said the Negro has not made more progress because he has not worked hard enough. Only 15% blames discrimination. Some had no opinion.
I feel that they're basically lazy. When this summer, for example, opportunity was given to them to better themselves in getting as many jobs as possible in various fields of retail, wholesale, and they don't take the full advantage of accepting the responsibility of going out for these jobs. They feel that they're not good enough for them.
Welcome back, everybody. What that lady was saying is blacks at the time feel that the jobs were beneath them. And you look at what caused this thinking. And I always go back, I point back to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And I explain this because my grandmother told me this and I was shocked. I remember her when we talked about how hard she worked. And she was explaining picking cotton. I picked cotton as a kid, but for fun. They grew cotton crops when my great-grandfather was a sharecropper. And, he had stopped being a sharecropper. But in the place where I grew up, when I went to go visit him, there was a cotton field. And I would go there because my grandmother talked about picking cotton all the time. She's like, ooh, see all that cotton? It reminds me of picking cotton. And she'd go into her stories. And she told me my grandfather, not my grandfather I was raised with, but my actual biological grandfather was given a 100-pound sack, a sack that could hold 100 pounds of cotton. And she, I believe, was given an 80-pound sack, or maybe it was 50. But it was lighter. Women were given lighter, guys were given heavier. And she made my great grandfather made 10 cents a sack, and she made, like 7 cents. I don't remember the numbers, but it was nothing. And if you know how many little cotton things you got to pick to put in a sack, and it weighs 100 pounds, I can tell you it's no fun. And I mean, just think of the number of cotton balls that you got to put in a sack. And that sack looks like a big old long weather, that tells the pilot which way the wind is blowing. So they're out there in 100-degree Texas heat, picking cotton, bent over, and these cotton bowls would mark your hands, would cut your hands. And so they got used to it. They got used to the point where their hands are so callous, just put them in there and shove that cotton in the bag. And my grandfather's bag would end up being like 10 feet long to fill it up with all the cotton that would make 100 pounds. And my grandmother had hers, and they'd weigh them, and then you got paid. And it was nothing. So I tell that story because I remember my grandmother saying it was $1, whether like $1 or 80 cents. To make $1 a day was a big deal. $1 a day. And then along comes FDR with the New Deal, and he says, all right, here's what we're going to do. If you are laid off, we're going to put you to work. So he put all the white people to work. Black folks who couldn't find jobs were given menial jobs, or they were put on welfare. And welfare might pay you $1 a day to stay home, maybe more. So the way my grandmother explained it was, you could actually make more money not working in the hot fields, not ironing dresses and washing clothes in lye, and so on and so forth. So the incentive was to stay home. Now, many people were like, nah, that's only for an emergency. We had scruples back then, and so we wouldn't do it. People went to work. But in my opinion, that was the beginning of the end. When you got people that, no matter what you say, if you get out there and you pick 100 pounds of cotton and you have an experience to tell, that's him. For me, I'm proud to tell you my grandfather picked cotton. He understands it. That is a hard day's work. To say my grandfather stayed at the house on welfare, that's a whole different deal. And so I talked the other day about Donald Trump saying we've stolen the dreams. We have dreamers in America who can no longer dream. And that's where we are. We've stolen their dreams because hard work creates those dreams. I had a conversation with my son, my youngest son, and I was talking about, son, you have to work, and you have to work from the bottom up. And he says, what do you mean, Dad? I said, the reason why you have to work from the bottom up is you have to know your craft. When you tell me a guy is made the CEO of a company because he started with the company in the mailroom and he went from department to department, I want to invest in that company. See, that's a guy that understands that company inside out. He knows where the processes are broken, where they could be fixed, where it's not worth fixing. If he's good and he's observant, that is the best person you can hire. You could say, I'm going to bring in so-and-so who ran another company and successfully, and they are, $100 million man over at Hewlett Packard. Look at what happened to Carly Fiorina. They brought in Hotshot Carly, and she ruined the company. They needed somebody who understood it from the ground up.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. We're talking about this clip that I heard from BBC, and they call these people white supremacists who had very valid things about blacks in the 60s. And one lady said they want us to pay them for slavery, and I didn't own any slaves. My folks didn't have any slaves. Are they blaming us? What happened to the future? When do blacks stop worrying about the past and start worrying about the future? This was in the 60s. They were still doing documentaries where they call people Negroes. You do a documentary now where you call people Negroes, people lose their mind. Yeah, you can't say Negro. Guarantee you there are people on this listening to my radio show that take offense to the word Negro, that wonder, Kevin, how do you use that word so regularly? How? Easily. It's just a word. It isn't even the N word. It's the N word light. Pardon the pun. Because you get it, N word light versus dark. Yeah, I'm glad one of y'all got that. Anyway, she's right. And then somebody else says, look, they don't want jobs. They don't want menial jobs. And I was about to tell a story. I was talking to my son, my youngest son, and he was telling me, oh, I wouldn't want to do that job or whatever. And I said to him, son, I'm going to give you a lesson early on in life, and don't you ever forget these words. You will do whatever it takes to feed yourself and your family. And if that means a menial job, then you take that job. Don't you ever be so prideful that you're not willing to go work for a living. And he looked at me and he knew I was serious. Because he's, degrading some job. Like, I wouldn't do that job. Yes, you would. Under the right circumstances, I'm raising you to do that job. We clear? Yeah, Dad. Okay. I go, because you know what, son? Somebody's doing that job. Maybe not willingly. Maybe, obviously willingly, but maybe not happily, but they're doing it. You think a guy grows up and goes, I'm going to be a janitor, or I'm going to be a trash man working on the truck or whatever? No. But life deals you your cards, and these people gladly accept it, and don't you denigrate them. That's what I was telling him. There's no job that makes a man less than you. And I think that's an important lesson, and that's why I made sure I drove it home. But then I went on to say this. I said to him, son, you have to understand, unless you do that menial job, you don't know what you want to invent. And I said, necessity is the mother of invention. Actually, his mom chimed in because I couldn't remember the saying. But the point was this. If you're out, and I use this example. I said, let's say you're told to go sweep the patio, and you don't have anything to sweep it with. So you get down on your hands with a piece of cardboard, and you're moving everything out of the way. And so if that was your job and you did it every day, you know what you do? First thing is you get off your knees. You wouldn't be on your knees with cardboard brushing everything off the patio. You'd say it would be a lot easier if I stood. So you'd stand up and you'd say, okay, let me take a stick and I'll put the cardboard on it. And you do that. And then you'd go, this cardboard isn't working. It's too flimsy. It's not, getting everything off. You can see where I sweep, where I don't, blah, blah, blah. And so you you would eventually come to the conclusion that you need maybe straw. So that's what happened. Somebody doing that job suddenly went, you know what, this will be a lot easier if I could use this. So somebody put some straw together and they started sweeping. And then they noticed a few things. They went, wow, you know, I sweep a few times and the bristles fray at the end. So what if I wrap a band around it so that the bristles get a little bit stronger? So they did that. And ultimately the broom became, I don't know, they use nylon or some sort of a thing that doesn't, fray as badly. And so, so they've improved it, is what I'm saying. But it wouldn't have improved if somebody didn't have the menial job to do it. And by the way, that's true of everything that there is. It's true of your camera. It's true of big loading equipment. Somebody was using a wheelbarrow and went, you know what? If I could stick a motor on this thing and put it on 4 wheels, I could drag this stuff around. Somebody was lifting rocks, and some other guy goes, man, if you could find something with a bucket, a scooper on it, and we pick that up and put it inside of there, then you don't have to load the wheelbarrow. Then if it was not a wheelbarrow and it was a quad runner, and you could let the thing, blah, blah, blah. And everything is about making it easier. So that's what they do. That's what teaching you that stuff does. So when you say, oh, there's menial task, there's no such thing. And for the record, the Democrats are destroying the menial task system and the entrepreneurial spirit of young people, because when you have these rinky-dink jobs and you're the new generation, you're now coming at it from a different perspective. Think about, so I'll give you an example. I worked on the brush truck for the city of Brady. And I'd go out in these hot alleys, me, Brad, and a guy named Willie, Mexican dude who worked there. That was his job. Me and Brad were just summer interns. So we'd go load up all the brush. When you would make a special call to us and say, hey, we just put out a bunch of leaves and brush and you need to come pick it up. And we would schedule it and we come pick it up. And nowadays they have a bulk pickup where you just, on this day of the month, we do bulk pickup along with regular trash, have all your landscaping done, and bulk pickup occurs. Now, all I can tell you, I worked on the brush truck for a summer and I was already innovating. Willie used to pick up branch by branch. I guess he was just slow. I would take this long pitchfork. I would jump on top of it and stab those branches whole, and I'd pick up, I don't know, it felt like 100 pounds, but I'd pick that whole thing up and slam it into the truck. And Willie would go, he'd look at me like, that's crazy, man. But he was used to, being a one-man band, I guess, and just going out there branch by branch and, getting through whatever amount he could get through. But when Elmer told me we have a certain number of these things we do during, per day, you guys get a certain number of calls. And it was based on Willie's schedule. And Willie was slow. So we might have 8 calls. And if we got finished by noon, we were done. They didn't schedule more calls. That was our day. So me and Brad were like, we can knock this out, Willie. So we got to where we would park our car off the site because we knew we were going to finish up. And we innovated. We had ways of getting that stuff done that just probably blew Willie's mind. But we were like, let's get this out of this, let's knock it out. But he was too stuck in his own ways. So what I'm getting at is this. Youngsters having these jobs, these entry-level jobs, are going to look at them differently than older people. They've got a different wiring. They see how things can be easier. But we don't let them have that chance. Because now, at $15 an hour, you're taking that away from them. Nobody's going to hire them. They're going to hire people with families and, that take that job seriously. Now, maybe that person does it, but here's the problem with that. Capitalists now are already innovating. They're saying, I want the least amount of people involved. So using the brush truck as an example, nowadays, you know what they do? They have these big trash cans, these bins. They have hooks built into them and they have rollers on the back. A truck comes along. There's, at least in Arizona, 3 different trucks There's a regular compost, for your yard stuff. There's things that are recyclables, and then there's your regular trash. And you put all 3 bins out, and 3 different trucks come along, grab it without the guy getting off the truck, lid pops open, dumps the stuff out, puts it back down, and they move on. It's practically automated. And imagine one of these days Uber owning those trucks and doing that around the neighborhood. That's what you're going to find. You'll put those things in a certain place. Uber trucks will show up, take a picture, and empty it out. But I want to go back to the white supremacists. The people on this BBC thing that they're calling white supremacists are not white supremacists. They're the same white Americans of yesteryear who don't understand why people keep complaining about everything America. They're sick of it. You're sick of it. And it does not in any way make you racist. And the idea that BBC would this was in the 60s, they were calling these people racist. And now we're going through more of it. Kamal Bell of CNN calling you racist. People, a former Bush-Reagan guy said, if you voted for Trump, you're racist. How silly is that?
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show. Hope you had a great, whatever. You have a weekend, you have a weekday. You know what? The days just repeat. Why we even bother going, this is Monday, Tuesday, is only to keep up with that was 2 weeks ago or whatever. Because quite honestly, it's the same day. It is Groundhog Day every day. I would love to tell you, oh yeah, on the weekend I get to do blankety blank or whatever. Forget about it. Forget about it, okay? Because it doesn't happen. It does. All it happens is you watch the left get more devious as to how they try to hide things, how they try to obscure, right? It's you tell me. Let me give you an example. I see a story. And I warn you guys about leftists all the time. I tell you, the only thing that these people care about is how to take your money from you and get it to them in as least dangerous way possible. The worst of the worst will come up and put a gun in your face and hope that you don't have the ability to take it away or use it on them, or that you don't have a gun. But the really good ones become politicians, and they learn how to do it. Little by little, they nickel and dime you to death. The things that you have to get licenses for are ridiculous. The things that you have to, I'm going to have a lemonade stand. You need a permit. A permit for what? You want to drive your car as a taxi. Oh, you have to get signed up with this or that. That's why Uber's under fire. Uber, and you guys have heard me talk about this, is nothing more than people saying, look, I'm on my way to the mall. If I happen to pass by your way, I'll give you a ride if you give me $5 worth of gas. That's essentially what it is. If you picked up 3 people all willing to give you $5 worth of gas, your trip is free. They don't have to buy a car. And they're at your mercy as to when they get back. Or maybe they find somebody else on their way back. What a great idea for a service. And that's what Uber is. Uber says, we have an app that says, where are you headed? I'm headed here. Listen, if you'll stop by and pick me up, I'll give you $7. Okay, cool. Now, people have made it into a service, a taxi service type thing. But the spirit of it is, I'm on my way there. If I'm on my way back, I'll swing by, grab you, boop, I'll take you home, make a little money. And that's it. Imagine that. Imagine every time you went to the grocery store or you went to something that you wanted to do and you stopped and picked somebody up and you made $5. I mean, I can tell you from my perspective, I would never buy gas. We are zipping and zippity-doo all over the place, taking my little boy. This dude has got a better social life than his parents. And if I stopped and said, hey, look, we're headed over here. If your kid needs to go, we'll pick him up, boom, boom, boom. And the kid knew how to get home and mom and dad, man, we could revolutionize it. I could just do it for sports. I would just go, I'll be your, what do they call them, soccer mom. Or just call an app, call it Soccer Mom. And say, on loan, Girl Friday Soccer Mom. and you hit the app and it says, yeah, my kid needs to go over to this training facility. My kid's going here. And all you did was zip them around. I think I just came up with a great idea right here on air. Soccer mom. But the government wants to get in your business. You used to go out, you catch a fish, go fishing with the family. Nope. Got to have a license. Why? Because we have to regulate. And oh, by the way, your fishing license pays for some archaic gun law that came into effect years ago. So everybody's making money that way. Marriage is the same way. How many things do you have to get approved for your car to be roadworthy now? It used to just be you got your license tags. Then it became, no, it has to go through an inspection. Then, no, it has to go through smog. No, then it has to go through some other form of specialty emissions in California and Massachusetts or whatever. It's just a money grab. If they can't get your road taxes from your gasoline, which they tax the heck out of, making more money than the actual people who go out and refine oil, find it, bring it out of the ground and refine it. The government makes more money profit-wise than they do. And if they can't tax that, well, then let's tax mileage. And that's how they do it. So we've got these kids that live in Gardendale, Alabama, and a city ordinance is now requiring them to get a business license to operate a lawn mowing service over the summer. Now, I don't know how you made your money in the summer, the different things that, you may have done, a paper route, lemonade stand or whatever, but it's pretty sickening when the government tells a kid, that essentially takes the incentive from a child to work for the summer. So this WBMA TV reports that teenagers have already been confronted by city officials and professional lawn cutting services and asked to show their licenses for cutting grass for money. Now, I liken this to, again, giving a car ride to somebody, a neighbor, because you're going to the store and they happen to strike up a conversation and say, I'm going too. If I give you $5 for gas, will you take me? And a cabbie coming along saying, foul. If you've got a lawnmower and your neighbor says, hey, will you cut my yard while you're cutting yours? I have a perfect situation. My lawnmower right now doesn't work. And I can't pull it for some reason. And I've been trying to get it to the lawnmower repair place. But so I would gladly pay my neighbor's kid to come over and cut my yard. I don't have a neighbor's kid. But I'm saying if I had one, I'd pay him. Simple as that. I wouldn't get some lawn service that's got to, don't trust me. Those guys are good. They're great at what they do. And in the scheme of things, in the long run, I would have a lawn service. But if the kid needed a job or was trying to make extra money, I'd do it. In as much as I'd let some little teenager, watch my son. If I wanted to go out or, needed to get out for a bit or what have you, I'd say, hey, little Susie, do you want to make some extra money? Yeah, friends of mine, that's exactly what their daughters do. They have twin daughters. They do exactly that. And they make $20 an hour or something, watching other people's kids. And they're on all kinds of different sites and stuff. It's really fascinating to watch. But Elena Paris charges from $20 to $40 a lawn, according to her grandfather, Elton Campbell. She says he's attempting to raise money for admissions and trips. But the city ordinance has made lawn cutting a hassle. One of the men that cut several yards made a remark to one of our neighbors that if he saw her cutting grass again, he was going to call Gardendale because she didn't have a business license. He's coming after a kid. I'm reading this. He's coming after a kid at least trying to do work. There are kids at home on iPads and electronics not wanting to go outside, Paris said. And she's wanting to work. And this guy wants to shut her down. The mayor, Stan Hoagland, said anybody operating within the city must pay for a business license, but admitted that sending officials from the city after a teen who's cutting grass is not a priority. But let me tell you, if she was an illegal cutting grass, they would be giving her a trophy. They would be giving her the key to the city. I'll take a short break. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. They are going to name, in California, I should say, they being Californians, want to name a stretch of highway after Barack Obama. The Obama Highway. It reminds me of Hotel California. On the dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair, warm smell of colitas. What is colitas? Colichas? Colichas? Rising up through the air. Look that up. I want to know what word that is. Up ahead in the distance, I saw a shimmering light. My head grew heavy and my sight grew dim. I had to stop for the night. There he stood in the doorway. Oh, hello, can I help you? I heard the mission bell, and I was thinking to myself, could this be heaven or could this be hell? But we had 8 years of you-know-what. A stretch of highway called the Obama Highway. Come on, seriously? Is it on its way to Death Valley? Is it in Death Valley? I'm just curious. You know it's going to be desolate. That stretch of highway will have nothing. If, I'm going to make a prediction. If they put a stretch of highway and they name it Barack Obama Highway, it doesn't matter what business is on that highway, it's going to fail. It will fail. Don't do it. It will be the Bermuda Triangle of highways. We can't even put a gas station there. It's like the truckers just don't stop. They drive right by it. Did I say right by it? Oh, man. They drive right by it. Look, what do you see on the highway? Think about it. You got fast food joints. You got truck stops, usually with a restaurant, something. Subway. So I think that's the only way you can have a successful Subway. I can't stand Subway. Is to put it in a truck stop, on those trucker places. Anyway, and you got lots of Americana. How can you have a stretch of highway, a little taste of Americana, and call it a Barack Obama? If you do it, it needs to be like Africa. You need to be able to see wild animals and certainly goat herding. Isn't that what his father used to do? What was his daddy? Was it a sheep herder or a goat herder? I mean, that's what he claims. If there's a stretch of Barack Obama Highway, seriously, I want it to look like an African safari. I want to enter and go, oh, look at the giraffes. I want to feel like I'm in Kenya. I want to see people wearing African garb, with those hats, colorful, what's the colors? You know what I'm saying? Like orange and red and yellows and some greens and stuff. Dashikis. Not afros, but a natural, Africans don't wear too many afros, but they do wear naturals. We used to call them a natural. See, for you white folks, for your edification, there was the fro, aka the afro, which is big hair, right? And then there was the natural, where your hair was maybe an inch to an inch and a half thick. That's it. You get bigger than that, you get into fro territory. Under that, you have what's called a natural. A lot of brothers wore naturals. A lot of Africans wear naturals. So I want to see a bunch of brothers out there. I want to feel like I'm going through an Indian reservation. You know what I mean? I want to see huts, hyenas. I want to see indigenous people pumping water out of a well. Or no, better yet, carrying water on their heads. I want to see African. It should be like going to one of these old country towns. You know, like Dodge, where they reproduce the country and the thing. That's what they should do. Then I would go drive through that stretch. Maybe then businesses could survive. Because I'm telling you, that would be the Bermuda Triangle Highway. It's called, ever since we named, and for the record, if they take a stretch of highway and there's thriving businesses on that stretch of highway and they name it Barack Obama, let me tell you what's going to happen. The businesses are going to start to fail. It'll be like voodoo. Somebody just came there and went, "Ooh, Marie Laveau." Yeah, y'all know who Marie Laveau is? She was a voodoo lady. She was a voodoo lady from Cajun country, from New Orleans. Yeah, and she was Kenda Boudreaux. I don't know if she's Kenda Boudreaux, but she down in Louisiana where the black trees grow. There's a voodoo lady named Marie Laveau. Y'all know that song? It was an old country song when I was growing up. She got a thin, bony body and stringy hair, and if she ever see y'all messing around there, she go, "Ooh, another man done gone." Yeah, that was a song, Marie Laveau. That stretch of highway will forever be stricken. Your navigation system will avoid it. You'll be traveling down the road. Get your kicks on Route 60. Oh, Obama Highway. And you will detour. Your navigation system will say something like, it's always a kind of a sexy lady. She'll be like, "You get to travel down Route 66, but right before you enter Obama Highway, you will want to veer off onto State Highway 112 and avoid the black zone." I just made that up right there. I just did that right on the fly. Did you see that? That's pretty good. See, you listen to professional radio when a dude can just make it up like that. Obama Highway. Y'all want to hear the real story? State lawmakers gave final approval of designating a section, just a section, of Highway 134 freeway is what they call it. Freeway. Yeah, versus the slave way? What you trying to say? Yeah, 134 freeway is President Barack H. Obama Highway in honor of the 44th president. Supporters of the measure will now raise the private funds needed to place the signs. I can see them passing the collection plate at church. Giving honor to God, brothers and sisters of the congregation, we have been asked by Acorn and Black Lives Matter to pay for some signs if we want to have our 44th president. You know who I'm talking about, Barack Obama. We want to honor him with signs on the freeway. And black people be like, leaving church. They don't like that Negro. They don't like Obama. Seriously. I don't know. They'll tell you that they do, but they don't. But they'll try to pass the plate to collect for Obama's deal. The private funds needed to place the signs. I wonder how much it's going to cost. Let me put it to you this way. Whatever the signs cost, let's say it costs $20 million. I know that sounds like a lot, but they're going to put a lot of signs up to remind you how great Obama was. Did we remind you that he killed Osama bin Laden? It'll be billboards and everything. I killed Osama bin Laden. But they're going to have all kinds of signs. But whatever the cost is, let's say it's $1 million. You can bet they're going to spend $5 million. Barack Obama's going to get a friend to make the signs. Your friend is going to jack the citizens of California, who will happily pay for it. They will get Mexican illegals to put the signs up. and say, look, we got dreamers working in America, and the rest will be history. And they did this because they said he went to Occidental College. How do we know he went to Occidental College? We ain't seen this dude's records. The Obama Highway will be on parts of Glendale, Pasadena, and Eagle Rock. Occidental is in Eagle Rock. Okay, whatever, y'all.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
The problem is that, I'm the President of the United States. I'm not the Emperor of the United States. My job is to execute laws that are passed.
I can't solve this problem by myself. We're going to have bipartisan support in order to make it happen.
We're also a nation of laws. That's part of our tradition. And so the easy way out is to try to yell and pretend like I can do something by violating our laws.
That's not how our democracy functions. That's not how our Constitution is written. Sometimes when I talk to immigration advocates, they wish I could just bypass Congress and change the law myself. But that's not how democracy works. Now, I swore an oath to uphold the laws on the books.
Welcome back, everybody. That was Barack Obama's litany of reasons why he could not do what he ultimately did in issuing an executive order for DACA. Granting legal immigration, or legal status, if you will, temporary, although it may be, to what they call dreamers, children of illegals that got here that are afraid, they're scared, because we've been so tough on illegals in this country. Man, look, I get it. If I were living in a country illegally, I'd be paranoid. I'd be scared. I would. I'd be trying to avoid things or whatever. I'd be a solid citizen. I would be just, when they wanted to get me out, people would be going, don't let him go. He's just so good. He's helping poor people, and he's helping the widows and orphans and saving pets. And they would be like fighting to keep me there. But if they sent me home, I would get it. I would understand. I go, look, I've broken your laws. I know I shouldn't have broken your laws, but I did. But what's funny about that, 19 times we documented in a post where Barack Obama said he couldn't do it. Doesn't have the legal authority. And he doesn't. We are talking about an illegal act. By the way, same conversation we're having about Obamacare. Illegal act. I don't care what Justice Roberts said. He is a lying snake in the grass for having passed Obamacare. And all it tells me is they have some dirt on him. That's okay. If Justice Roberts would just come out and tell us what the dirt is, we'd forgive him. And he could say, you know what? Let's bring that Obamacare thing back now that people have forgiven me for hanging out with that Guatemalan midget prostitute. Because it's something. Just saying. He's got something back. There's no reason for him to do that. He's too smart to go for that. But we are where we are. And so now they go, well, so what? It's illegal. Now the Senate needs to take over and we need to. No. The Senate, somebody should have done this in the beginning and looked at the dreamers or whatever you want to call them through the legislative process, not through executive process. And Obama, well, I just started the discussion. No, you made us enforce, which by the way isn't even an enforceable edict because it's illegal. It directly, not indirectly, directly violates the Constitution, which gives Congress the authority to set a universal immigration system. It even supersedes the states. Just amazing why we're even having this discussion. But we are. And what's funny, the left, they know this is the biggest part, the biggest crux that they have in dealing with DACA, is they know it's illegal. There was an interview that Chuck Todd had with Feinstein. And she was asked point blank, is it legal? Here's what she said.
Was DACA legal? DACA was executive order. Legal is the law of passage of something. There are 10 attorneys general that are prepared to sue. I don't want to get into that. The point is DACA is here, and we've got 800,000 young people.
Well, your answer indicates, though, that it's on shaky legal ground.
It is. That's why we need to pass a law.
There's no shaky legal ground here. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's illegal. It can't be done. But now the discussion, and the left knows this, they've tried to move the discussion in another direction. Now, the other day I talked to you guys about how Trump is going to win this back. Here's how we win it back. We talk about the dreamers in America. The real dreamers. Trump was brilliant with this. What about all these black kids? Do they not get the chance to dream? While we are over here catering to people who are robbing America of resources, you're wholly ignoring another group of people. I would love to see the NAACP, Black Lives Matter, the Congressional Black Caucus, the National Urban League, or anybody else that wants to be an ethnocentric racist speak up for Donald Trump and where he says the real dreamers are black folks. These black kids. They're the ones that we should be paying attention to. They're the ones screaming out for help. Why do you think there's so much black crime? Do you believe in your heart of hearts that black people are just more criminally oriented than other people? Well, let me save you the suspense. We're not. We're a victim of circumstance. And if we continue in this mode, yes, we will continue to be the most criminal element in the United States or elsewhere if we continue in the mode that we are. But you put any group of people in our circumstances and you will have exactly what you've gotten out of black folks. So Trump's saying, let's change this. Let's stop focusing on these dreamers, these, 800,000 kids who have a dream of America. How about we put a focus on 800,000 young black teens who want to get out of the situation that they're in? You think that might do something? As we always do, we decided to go to work on these various issues. And I came up with a few things. These are memes that you'll probably see come out because I started thinking about DACA more along the terms of Donald Trump and how we could help President Trump change the message. Because that's what the left is doing. They've implemented an illegal piece of legislation that isn't legislation. An illegal act has been performed on the American citizenry, dictated by Barack Obama, and we're now trying to fight to get the illegal act, thrown out. It would be like finding out that the DNA of somebody in prison wasn't the person who committed the crime, and you go, well, who cares? He's still got to say, we still have to figure out how to frame him. So here's a few memes. Instead of Democrats focusing on 800,000 illegal youngsters soaking resources from taxpayers, how about they focus on millions of young black teens who want better lives? What do you think? See, I think colorizing DACA, let's pit brown against black. That's going to make the Democrats squirm. I know there are some of you out there going, you know what, Kevin? You're onto something, bro. I love the way you think, buddy. You know I'm right. How about this one? How many black teens must die before Democrats concern themselves with these American dreamers? And then we have a picture of black kids dead on the street or, begging or whatever. What do you think? Do you guys like that? If you do, contact me at the Kevin Jackson Show. If you've got memes that you think can work on this or anything else, shoot us a message at kjradio.com. Seriously. We'll put these things to work. How about this one? By the way, I want to call black radio stations and talk about this. This would be a great topic for that. How about this one? Why isn't Black Lives Matter, the NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus, the National Urban League applauding Trump's comments about black dreamers who the left ignore daily in America? Notice what I said there? Black dreamers. Love that. Look at me. I'm so bad. I want to touch myself. Yeah, y'all can't see. Thank President Trump for bringing to light Democrats' neglect of black children for the sake of illegal children. What about that one? You like that? I love this one. American Dreamers. And you show pictures of black kids just playing anything. American Dreamers versus illegal dreamers. You see what I'm doing? We're making a distinction here. Well, see, we're rifting. We're doing what marketing people do on Madison Avenue every single day to convince you to go buy crap. Now we can convince people to go buy what? Our story. You know what our story is? You know what we're selling people? Pay attention. The American dream. You ready for this one? Democrats to black teens. The American dream no longer applies to you. Only accepting applications from illegals. Tss, burn. Yeah. How about this one? If black teens want Democrats to care about them, then these teens should sneak into the U.S. and declare themselves to be Mexicans. Ole, orale, vato. What's happening, man? I tell you what, I'm a Mexican dude. Note the irony. The same people who say DACA will give illegals a better way of life in the U.S. protest on behalf of Colin Kaepernick, who claims the U.S. doesn't offer minorities a better way of life. Look at me, I'm just hot. I'm in fuego. We'll be back.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255 if you want to speak with me. And I would love to speak with you. So I hope you do contact us. If you can't do it there, go to Facebook, go to Twitter, Kevin Jackson Kevin Jackson TBS. The @ sign in front of that is my Twitter handle. So Donald Trump continues his wrecking rampage on everything that is Obama, and this is a great thing for America. We all know the things that he's been talking about doing, like dismantling Obamacare, which will happen eventually. It's easy to get distracted when you have the left fighting against you at every turn, but that's beginning to change, as we've documented time and time again, with people like Nancy Pelosi softening their stance on Trump. I'm not saying they've given up on him, but, in terms of they've capitulated, but they certainly are softening their stance. Chuck Schumer came out hard against Hillary Clinton. Hillary's on her book tour trying to sell it. She's now blaming again. She's on the blame game. Bernie Sanders is the reason I didn't get elected. First it was Comey, then it was, I don't know who, the right-wing conspiracy, all these different things. Now it's Bernie. He's the reason why Donald Trump called her crooked. And nobody would let her fight back. Barack Obama wouldn't let her fight back. Black man told her what to do, and she did it. Good old Mandingo girlfriend. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, what I want to talk about now, though, is Donald Trump's continual attack on Obama's policies and how it's going to impact people. This is the type of thing that is helping folks throughout this country, particularly women and minorities. Donald Trump is protecting them from Obama-era racism. And here's what's funny. If you think about it, go back and look at the policies that Trump wanted to change, for example, the travel order. They loved it under Obama, didn't say a word, but Trump says it. They fight it. Then he goes, well, wait a minute, it's what Obama did. Yeah, but, anyway, you're not black. So what it amounts to is no matter what Obama did, the left either ignored it or they rejoiced. Obama extolled the virtues of an organization that called black people human weeds, kills black babies at almost 300% the black population, and they don't say a word. He eulogized a Klansman, Robert Byrd. Now, I want you to stop and ask yourself this very simple question. Can you imagine in your wildest imagination of dreams and, whatever you do, can you imagine how Donald Trump would be perceived if he spoke on behalf of an organization that showed abject disdain for blacks and whose stated purpose was to eradicate black people, the human weeds, or what they would say if Trump eulogized a Klansman? Pick any Klansman. Would the world look away so readily as they have with Barack Obama? Think about this. And what of Obama's policies, folks? Forget that white America suffered because you can absorb the pain. But what about blacks? Rampant unemployment, crime, the worst schools in the country. Is there anything that's got black in it that you go, I'll do it? You want to live in a black neighborhood? You want to work for a black company? Do you want to cash your check? I mean, tell me what is black. Look, I'm not trying to this is not meant to make people upset or whatever. Black folks can get mad. I don't really care. But I'm asking you the honest to God truth. Do you want to go to black schools? What is it you would do? You want to go to black college? Tell me what you would do that's black. That you go, oh, I'll do that. I'm black and I'll do that thing. You want to go to a hip hop concert? You want to go to a black club? I'm just telling you, there's nothing, and it's sad to say. It's sad to say. I would love to tell you, hey, yeah, so I live in this black neighborhood. Oh, wow, Kevin, when did you move to a black neighborhood? Wow, did you get a raise? You say you moved to a black. When I tell people, well, look, I live in a black neighborhood. They go, oh, okay. Kevin, I didn't know that. They're like almost apologetic. They're scared for me. I'm just telling you, folks. The idea, if President Trump had Obama's record, the left would swear that he was intentionally hurting black people. But does anybody think that President Trump would be allowed to brag about 16.7 million more people being on welfare as it was at one point during Obama's administration? They bragged about this to the UN. Or would the left allow Trump the luxury of an unemployment figure that depended on people who quit looking for jobs? Look at Donald Trump. All those people that quit looking for jobs and he's bragging about his unemployment. That's not the real unemployment. I mean, can you imagine? We were saying it because it was legit. And for the record, I say it under Trump. I still want real unemployment numbers. Oh, it's 4.4%. No, it isn't. It's still looked at the same way. Are more people looking and finding jobs? Yeah. Has Trump turned it around? Sure he has. But I want the real number. I want Trump to have the you-know-what to say, you know what, folks? We're no longer going to look at unemployment the way Obama looked at it. We're going to look at it the right way. Anyway, the left readily, folks, dismiss Obama's record because he's black. Obama crushed America. More specifically, he crushed those he claimed to help the most. With the exception of Muslims and the LGBT, and you've heard me say this, in their social causes, Obama helped nobody else. And he was particularly cruel to women and blacks. And thankfully, Trump came to the rescue. And you're going, Kevin, what are you talking about? Speak up, black man. I'm about to. Trump put a stop to an Obama-era rule that would have hurt the wage and employment prospects of all workers. but it would have particularly harmed women and minorities the most. And the rule would have required companies with 100 or more workers to report detailed salary information to government bureaucrats, get this, by sex, race, job category, and other factors. So let me tell you where we're headed. We're going to be talking about transsexuals and which type of transsexual you are. We're going to be talking about, how much black, whatever. And none of this was going to do anything to help companies. It was a bureaucratic layer that hurt companies in their hiring. The rule, as I said, I'm going to read this. As innocuous as additional reporting requirements may sound, the way in which the Department of Labor and lawyers would have used this information would have backfired on those workers that were the policy's targets. Now, the purported goal of this rule was, they said they wanted to close this misrepresented gender wage gap and empower workers to identify and sue the employers for alleged discrimination in pay and promotions. I want you to think about all the employers and the paperwork that would have gone into this bureaucratic nightmare just because some transsexual says, I don't make as much as heterosexuals or whatever. This is what the government does. I've asked any leftist to show me where asking for data like ethnicity, gender, religion, and so on has helped the American public or even the people you purport to help. Data like that is used for one purpose and one purpose only by this leftist government: to marginalize various groups of people, to make them feel substandard, because once that Johnny negotiated 7 cents more an hour than you, well, then it has to be the employer's fault. It can't be yours. This is a tactic used by the left, folks. They excel at divide and conquer. This data is the very reason America finds itself in massive debt and running huge deficits. I talk about this in every book I've ever written, that you are being pimped with this kind of stuff. They say the Department of Labor was planning to use information obtained in response to the ruling to police employers who raised red flags in the agency's data files for an unequal distribution in their employment and pay scales based on gender and race. There are many factors that employers use to figure out how they're going to compensate people. Many factors. And it has zero to do with gender and race. It has to do with how is that employee going to benefit me the most or the least or whatever. And those factors should be considered if you want to be, smart about hiring in your business. They said at the time that it was proposed, this rule in January 2016, the chairman of the EEOC, Jenny Yang, explained to the New York Times, we will be using the information that we're collecting as a one piece of information that can inform our investigations against employers. Large government contractors are already subject to these rules, and you get a glimpse of what others could have expected if the rule had gone into effect. The Department of Labor has sued several tech companies, including Google and Oracle, for alleged gender discrimination in pay, and I've written extensively on this subject, and I can tell you this: it never works.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, America? Kevin Jackson here. Glad you're with me. KJRadio.com is what you're listening to. And I couldn't be happier than to have you here. Seriously. And here's why I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to get all ethnic on you in just for a minute. We got a black Surgeon General. Yeah, that racist Donald Trump. How dare he appoint a black Surgeon General? Do you know who Jerome is? I got to call me Jerome. Dr. Jerome Adams. Vice President Mike Pence swore in the new Surgeon General. Jerome Adams previously served as health commissioner for the state of Indiana. 3 years after being named to his former position by the very same man Pence swore him in as a Surgeon General of Indiana. He will serve as the country's 20th Surgeon General. Sylvia Trent Adams had held the role as acting Surgeon General since Vivek Murthy was relieved of the position by President Donald Trump. I want to see white folks on the left try to poke a hole in this one. Ooh, Dr. Jerome. Oh, man. I'm sure the guy's eminently qualified. Congratulate. I'm presuming. It's a figurehead role. He says he's going to work on the opioid addiction, which I know is near and dear to Donald Trump's heart. It's something that the left has been talking about. But the bigger significance is Donald Trump is a racist, right? And he appoints Jerome. I mean, what next? Tyrone to something? Pookie, dare I say, gets a presidential role of some sort? Jerome. There is no doubt about this name. If it were a white dude, it would be Jerry. Come on now. Give me the preaching. I'll get in that voice. Anyway, I'm happy to see Dr. Jerome Adams get bumped up. And, again, I don't think Trump does figurehead stuff. I bet you also he said to Mike Pence, hey, look, let's fill some slots. But, here's the thing. The left will let him fill a slot like that, but they don't want his judges. They don't want his other administrative appointments because Trump is draining the swamp. I love it. He was already confirmed by the Senate earlier in the month after he was nominated. And he referenced President Trump during his confirmation. He said this, to borrow a phrase from our president, let's all work together to make American health great again. I love it. Make American health great again. So it's still MAGA, but it's MAGA, MAHGA. MAGA. He should get hats that say that. Make American health great again. Because it's not great right now. What else we got? This story. We got a couple of stories that I think are pretty interesting for this coming up this hour. Yeah, let's decide. What do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about Awan? Debbie Wasserman Schultz is awash in scandal. She tried to get Capitol Hill police to release a computer that was under investigation by the FBI that they were holding because I believe these Awan brothers were holding the Democrats hostage. They were extorting the country. I believe the Awan brothers were leaking secrets. I believe when it's all said and done, we're going to find out what these guys did was just unbelievably corrupt, probably got people killed in the field. We had essentially members of the Muslim Brotherhood in control of our server. There's no telling what's on our American servers now, what people can get to. What's Iran got access to? Pakistan and other Middle Eastern countries that hate us, want to do us harm. But the Democrats, we're going to be politically correct. We're going to hire some Arabs, some Muslims. I have no problem with the Arabs. Zero. I do have a problem with Muslims. And I know they want to make the distinction between the good ones and the bad ones. That's like making a distinction. There are some good liberals, Kevin. How so? So you go, Kevin, this liberal here, he would never molest a child. But he supports policies that would allow for molesters of children to flourish. Groups like NAMBLA. Yeah, Kevin, he would never do this to a woman. Yeah, but he supports policies that degrade women, that marginalize women, that marginalize blacks, that marginalize Hispanics, that marginalize Christians. And I could go on. Don't try to get people out of stuff by going, well, he wouldn't exactly do so-and-so and this and that. He's not directly involved. You don't have to be directly involved. The people who watch crime occur are just as guilty. He didn't actually steal, but he was with them. He didn't shoot the guy, but he kicked in the door. I mean, do I need to go on? Anyway, we have that to discuss if you want. Because the Awan brothers, there's some interesting developments here. This has far-reaching implications for the left, as does the investigation of Donald Trump for the Russians. How's that going, by the way? Any chance of impeachment for Donald Trump? Have we had any talk of impeachment? You know, every time we hear about Mueller, it's like, oh, you know, Donald Trump wanted to build a building in Moscow. Really? A builder? Wanted to build a building in Moscow. The nerve. You know, what else? Oh, what else we got? Alyssa Milano. You remember her? She played in that TV series Charmed, The Witches. Psst, little did we know. She's a witch. Inner demons that girl has, man. Wow. You know, it's funny. I watch these Holly weirdos go crazy, and there's a part of me that I want to get a megaphone and just say, shut up, all of you. I just want to shut them down. Don't you? Come on. I know I'm not alone. Raise your hand. If you're driving, don't raise your hand. But if you're not driving, okay, if you're driving, just raise one hand quick. I want to get them. I want to let them know you don't count. We don't care about your opinions. I mean, it doesn't drive me crazy in the sense of, oh, like I'm obsessed, like, you know, what's that movie, Fatal Attraction? I'm not that obsessed. But it bugs me that they think there's so much. I just want to get in their face and go, do you honestly think we give a crap about you? I want to ignore them at a restaurant. They hate that.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, KJRadio.com, author of Race Pimping, speaker. That's right, bon vivant, world traveler. Well, I used to be, not as much anymore. Contact us, 844-551-8255. Also, KJRadio.com. So, Awan is returning. You know, this is one of the staffers that work for a bunch of the DNC folks. A guy that sold secrets. Oh, they'll find out that he sold secrets. They'll find out that he put all kinds of crazy stuff on the internet. If they told us the truth about what these Awan brothers did, we would be livid at the Democrats. Livid. And you would think now that the Republicans are in charge and we've got Donald Trump, hopefully Trump says, look, we're putting this out there. We're going to let people know how crooked this government is, how much they're willing to sell us down the river for a bit of money, a little bit of spare change. I'm sick of it. I hope you are as well. Here's what the article in the Washington Examiner reads. A former House Democrat tech staffer who fled the country to Pakistan while under criminal investigation has struck a deal with federal officials to return to the United States and appear in an arraignment. Now, first of all, I'd say this. Keep the man under lock and key, because Hillary Clinton will have him killed. Don't think I'm even playing. If he comes out in the light of day, he'll be deader than disco. Keep him safe. Secondarily, if they cut a deal with him, I want you to imagine what you think that deal is. Do you believe, as I do, that this deal means he's going to be talking about somebody? Because he was safe in Pakistan. Now he's coming back. He's coming back to America. Coming to America. So, what are you going to say? Debbie Wasserman Schultz? Jim Comey? Donna Brazile? Hillary Clinton? Barack Obama? Everybody. It's just amazing to me that this guy has decided to do this. I'm curious. I don't know if we can find anything more about it, but we'll keep looking. They said Hina Alvi is wife of the former Imran Awan, and both face charges of conspiracy and bank fraud. Both worked for Democrats for several years, and Awan worked directly for Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Man, this air is driving me crazy, guys. It's taking my breath away. Sorry. But I want just turn it down or turn it off or something. It's bugging me. Anyways, this guy worked for the DNC, worked directly for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She fired him the day after the cake hit the fan. She kept this man on payroll for so long. Who knows, man? I don't know what's going on with him. Could be some extracurricular activity, if you know what I mean. I'm talking boudoir. Because let's face it, Debbie, not exactly, how do we put this delicately? As pretty as one might want her to be. Okay, Debbie's ugly. Nobody wants to do this, Debbie. You get what I'm saying? You following me? Exactly. Okay, let's shift gears. Alyssa Milano, I alluded to her. How poisoned are the minds of liberals, folks, over Donald Trump? A national day of prayer for victims of Hurricane Harvey that was declared by Donald Trump, President Trump, was blasphemed by Alyssa Milano. And she wants to call it National A-Hole Day. But not just A-Hole. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. National A-Hole Day. I mean, okay, let's say you don't like Trump. It would be like Barack Obama says, because of the victims of Hurricane Harvey, I'd like to declare today, Sunday, a national day, of honor or whatever. I don't know anybody. I'm not going to tell you that there aren't people. I don't know anybody who would say, let's make it National A-Hole Day because I hate Obama. First of all, I don't hate Obama. I believe most conservatives don't hate Obama. I believe most conservatives look at Obama and say, what a waste. They see Obama, his policies, as counter to American culture, etc. But I don't think they hate him. They hate his actions, but that's a difference. This girl hates Trump, and so instead of making it the National Prayer Day or whatever he's going to call it, she calls it National A-Hole Day. So anybody celebrating it is what, an a-hole? It's like there was a guy, married, which TV show does he have? Didn't you find that article? Married Family, Modern Family, thank you. Modern Family, the guy who writes that or produces it or directs it or whatever, told all of us who are Trump supporters to F you. That's what he said. And their rationale is, if you voted for Trump, you must be a racist or you condone it. But there's no racism. I just told you Donald Trump just appointed Jerome as a Surgeon General. That's how we have to say his name. His name isn't Jerome. It's Jerome. Yeah. In whatever key you choose. Jerome. Works the same. He'll answer to it. So, Donald Trump poisoned Alyssa Milano to the point of hatred that instead of celebrating National Prayer Day, that Donald Trump decided he wanted to designate the day. I don't know if that's executive order. I don't know how he did it, but he's like, hey, I hereby decree, bada bing, bada boom, it's done. Bring out the dancers. But Alyssa Milano can't handle it. She's mad. Calls it National A-Hole Day. Child star in the 1980s. Who's the boss? Not you, Alyssa. She later co-starred in the TV show Charmed. I talked about that. Where she plays a witch. Yeah. Typecasting, perhaps. I'll leave that for you to decide. And then she's broke. You guys remember we talked about her. Alyssa Milano has run through some money, and she's suing her management company saying it's their fault. And she was rehabbing a house. I don't know the numbers, but it went way over budget. Can't pay people. Now she's doing these cheesy commercials, life. What's it called? I've fallen and I can't get up. She's relegated to doing menial jobs. I'm going to tell you something. Maybe if she spent a little less time worrying about politics and worrying about her job, she'd be okay. And here's the problem with Alyssa. I used to think she's cute as a button. Okay, she got sexy too for a minute. She was cute as a kid. She got sexy as an adult. Then she got crazy as a leftist. But I used to think she was pretty hot. But see, time betrays us. It ages us. And that's what's going to happen to Melissa. It's already starting to. She's losing it. She's going off the deep end. I tell you, she won't hold around. She's not going to hang around. You just watch. You wait and see. You wait and see. I told you. Yeah, you see. Man, how do you have that kind of vitriol against a guy, particularly a guy doing so well? He's getting rid of the DACA. Like you care. What do you care? I've already talked about it. I don't want to overplay it.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. The Clintons are up for discussion again. This one is going to blow you away. This is interesting because it just goes to show you that nobody is immune from the Clintons. I mean, these are the most fake Christians on the planet. Remember when Bill Clinton got caught with the dress and suddenly they were going to church and Bill Clinton would hold that Bible and he would hold it to where the photo ops would see that Holy Bible would show. He made sure you knew it wasn't, for all we knew, he had a porno with the Holy Bible covering it. He's reading that in church. But he would make sure that the Holy Bible was seen in every photo op on Sunday and for a while. Not everyone, but you know what I mean. A lot of them. Going to church, that Bible was right there, boy. Because he's religious. I watch politicians use people. They use Christians and then do nothing for us. They use us and then they abuse us. They use us and, they bring up God in places, God would not like this. If you were to repeal Obamacare, God would not like this. And God. And they go to church. Church for them is a style show. It might as well be Fashion Week in New York. They don't care about the moral, what am I trying to say here? There's no morality for the Bible with them. There's no learning. There's no message there. Moral to the story. That's what I was trying to think of. Don't act like I got some kind of disease. Kevin's got early onset Alzheimer's. No, I don't. And I don't wish that on anybody. And certainly don't make fun of it. But anyway, I hate that. Look, If you're a Christian, be a Christian. If you're not, there are people that go, Kevin, I can't say that I'm a Christian, but I am spiritual. And I go, congratulations. It's not going to get you into heaven. But I'm glad you at least acknowledge that there's something inside of you that drives you to a greater goodness. Now, the fact that you can't see that as God, I'm sad for you. Because honestly, to believe this is it, look, you can get the trappings of life. We can get things and go, wow, this is really cool. Look at what I've got. Look at all these great things I have. But at the end of it, this is nothing. I'm just saying, it doesn't matter what glory you have. You could have a yacht. You could have a private plane. Those are all nice toys. But I promise you, folks, in the scheme of things, they don't mean anything. When you're on your dying breath, you don't care about the toys. But imagine today if somebody says, look, you have 6 months to live. Would it be about the toys or would it be about your experiences and the people you touch? Being honest with you. And that's not a rationalization for underachievement. That's just saying, at the end of the day, folks, it doesn't matter what you amass. It is nothing any more than, wow, I helped 50,000 people do whatever you did. It isn't enough. It's not. Your life has more meaning than that. And whatever the next realm is, I want to be in it. And my hope is that spiritual thing, whatever it may be, I mean, it's unimaginable because of God. The Bible tells you that. You can't even imagine it. So why try? I want my mind blown. I don't think I'll have any memory of this life. But I'll tell you this. I can acknowledge in front of God and everybody that I believe in a God, a living God, and there's going to be more. And I pray to God, I pray for all of you that we get that. But what gets me is the people that use that and abuse it for getting something on this earth. Because they want power. And the Clintons corrupt everything around them, including their own pastor. The publisher of the book by Hillary Clinton's long-term pastor has now discontinued sales of the book, and they're destroying the remaining copies. They had found examples of plagiarism a while back by CNN. This was last month. Now they found even more. Strong for the moment like this, the daily devotions of Hillary Rodham Clinton is based on emails that Reverend Bill Shalady, a United Methodist minister, wrote to Clinton from April 2015 through December of last year. Shalady described his emails as a way to minister to a candidate in perpetual motion. But just days before the book hit, on August 14th, CNN reported that Shalady had copied content from another pastor without attribution in at least one of the devotionals he sent to Clinton. Now look, I'm not going to get after a dude because he screwed up one time. I'm not. My first book was written where, it was mostly my memories, me just jogging memories. My second book referenced, stories or whatever. And I'm telling you, we went through it. I went through it and did my best to make sure we gave, any time I used somebody's quote, we indented it and we gave attribution or whatever. But I'd lie to you and tell you, you couldn't make a mistake. It's just impossible. I'm not saying that I did, but I'm saying if somebody came back and says, Kevin, that needs to be an attribution, I'd go, oh, wow, you may be right. Maybe Word didn't pick it up or we didn't indent it. I don't know. But it wouldn't have been intentional. I don't need somebody else's words to form my own thoughts. But they said CNN's report triggered an extensive review of the book, said Reverend Bill Milford, the president and publisher of the United Methodist Publishing House, which owns Abington Press, and they're the book's publisher. They were alarmed to discover other content unattributed by the author, Milford continued in a statement. Abington Press has zero tolerance for plagiarism. Consequently, we have discontinued sales. We'll remove existing copies from all sales outlets and have them destroyed along with our existing inventory. This is like a roach infestation or something. These guys are like, we want nothing to do with this. Now, I don't know how much, again, are they being just overly sensitive to it? Could they not come back and say, hey, these are the things that we found? But again, if this author, this pastor, had found some devotional, because, my grandmother used to get this book. She'd donate $10, $5, whatever, $2 back in the day to these ministries. And these ministries would send her these daily, as a gift, they'd send like a daily devotional. And she'd get these things her entire life. She got them. I don't know who comes up with this stuff. Are there pastors sitting around with a group of minions writing, these things? I come up with memes, and let me tell you how I do it. I look at my Twitter feed, I see what's popular, and I go, oh, that would be funny. Oh, if you put this spin on it. And then I come up with a meme. And I know it's mine because I don't look at anybody's stuff. That's why I told you guys I quit reading Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams and people like that, Shelby Steele, because I was like, I every time I read these guys, I go, that sounds a lot like me. It's only better. So the only thing I had over those guys was the humor aspect. And I just got to the point where I was like, I don't even want it to be anybody to accuse me. Oh, well, Thomas Sowell said that a year ago. I believe you. I believe it. I'm a year later than Thomas Sowell, which puts me in some pretty tall cotton, some pretty good company, because at least I thought of it, but I thought of it originally. And when my team uses other people's stuff, I go, make sure people know that's not ours, because I don't want that to happen. It's, there's just too many people out there to make you look like, oh, you ain't writing. So that's why, I have a writing style about me. I have a meme style. And it tends to have a hint of humor, because then you can go, okay, I get it. And I do love derivative stuff. I like looking at what somebody did, and then I go, I think it would be funnier if it had this element, and bada bing, bada boom, we do it. But I don't want to be accused of plagiarism. This guy says, I deeply regret my actions. I was wrong, and there's no excuse for it. I apologize to those whose work I mistakenly did not attribute. Again, I don't know where he came up with these. Was he getting daily devotionals and doing this stuff? Because if you're sending Clinton, I don't know what he's doing with her, but if he's trying to send her some uplifting messages every day of the week, it's easy to go on the internet and grab one of these. There's a site, what's it called? Like familiar quotations or quotable quotes. There's a bunch of them. And you can go there anytime. And here's what's funny about it. If you say, I want a quote on money, you will find 3 people that said almost the same thing. There'll be 3 different attributions for practically the same thing with just a little bit of a twist. But quite frankly, only one of them should have gotten credit for it. And if it were me on the site, I would just say, take the oldest one and let that be the one. Clinton appears on the cover of Strong for a moment like this, and wrote a foreword for the book, which shows you why it ended up in the dumpster. She was scheduled to appear at an event in New York promoting the book. So I wonder what she's going to do. Is she going to throw this pastor under the bus? They formed a spiritual bond, they said, after meeting in New York in 2002. He co-officiated Chelsea's wedding in 2010, presided over Clinton's mother's memorial service, blessed her grandchildren. Clinton is a lifelong Methodist, they say. None of this surprises me, honestly. Am I condemning this pastor as an author? No. But not surprising that he'd be associated with the Clintons and this would happen.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, KJRadio.com. Subject that is near and dear to my heart and has to do with education. I don't believe the United States does a very good job of educating its students. I think that they use education as a ruse to give a lot of money to an institution that has dumbed down this population to a point of insanity. And we're watching it play out right before our eyes, so much so that even the Democrats themselves are afraid. They're wondering, what's next? I mean, education has all the ills of society created by Democrats. It's got racism. It's got sexism. It's got pedophilia. It's got misogyny. It's got classism. You name it, education in America fits the bill. Racism. You want some examples? Black schools. Now, you know what that is, don't you? Why are there black schools? There are black schools because there are black neighborhoods. Now, it's classes. Why do you fight over a kid going to a black school? What is a black school versus a white school? The education system will tell you. Black schools don't get as good of equipment. They don't get as much money from the tax base. Blah, blah, blah. They complain. They know it's classist. You get a neighborhood of upper income people. Their schools run better than black schools. Now, that's not to say there aren't black neighborhoods that are nice. School system is better, good, but it doesn't even compare. Look at black colleges. Folks, we're talking about from primary school to secondary to higher ed, all the way up the food chain. Black schools are worse. Go to college. Tell me you would rather go to Howard rather than Harvard. Somebody tell me this. Maybe a black student will because my grandfather went there, my great-grandfather went there, or I just believe in giving money back to black education, whatever. But the comparison of the two is ridiculous. When the left talks about giving away college, what are they talking about? We'll give you free college to, community college. We'll give you a scholarship to state school, but they don't give you a college to Ivy League or the better schools, even if it's not Ivy League, the better schools. They're not giving you scholarships to that. What are you talking? You better step back. You better step off, boy. So they mucked it up. Then what they do to placate these white apologists, these true racists over there, they say, you know what? We'll put a handful of them into our good schools, and that'll shut them down. They won't ask for anything more. They'll accept our rinky-dink educations. And that's what they try to do. So they grab a handful of us and they put us in private schools. They say, hey, little black boy, why don't you go to this little private high school where there are white kids? And this is what's going on right now in St. Louis. They got a great school. It's graduated senators and congressmen and judges and some of the most accomplished people in the country. They make Ferraris, and they bring black kids there, and they go, so they've got behavioral issues, but it's okay. They come to school late. They sag. They play their music loud. They're disruptive. But you know what? They're little black kids. Let's leave them alone. It's so insulting. It's so racist in its insulting, in the nature of the insult. I got to believe the left know this. Anyway, same thing. What's going on at this school? And I've talked about it before, where these administrators are driving these kids to racism. So at this particular school, kids wrote some sort of a message or email or whatever that got made public where they were decrying these black kids that are being allowed to be disruptive and all the things I described earlier. And now the NAACP's been called in to, monitor what's going on at the school. What should be monitored that's going on at the school is leftism. I'm sick of these people doing this. And so you have, when it gets up to, now this is at high school level. This is going on at all these special schools, these schools where parents pay 25, 30 grand a year to have their kids go. They give scholarships to black kids, and then these kids come in and change the entire complexity, the entire complexion, I should say, of the school. And the same thing's happening at Princeton. Jim Crow worked as black leftists now demand segregation. They fight for segregation. Democrats proved they could successfully get black leftists back on the plantation and on their own accord. Civil rights warriors, folks, fought for blacks to integrate into mainstream society, and black kids in college, students, fight for segregation. So these black leftists at Princeton complained in the school newspaper about integrated housing. And so the integrated, not male and female, not gender integration, they don't want to be with the white kids at Princeton. Then you know what? I would say, if I were Princeton, I'd say, then take your butt to an HBCU. Go to one of the historically black colleges, because we're not changing anything for you. But you can bet that's what they're trying to get done. You can bet Princeton is already looking, how can we appease these, the natives? The Daily Caller reported, they said, the events in Charlottesville have made the presence of neo-Nazism and white nationalism in the United States undeniable. This is what the students declared at the Daily Princeton as they seek separate housing based on skin color. They're saying Charlottesville is impacting Princeton, New Jersey, and neo-Nazism and white nationalism are rearing its ugly head. Well, if it is, it's because of black folks like them. I can tell you, on pretty good authority, white people don't give a crap what you do. They're too busy living their great, wonderful lives. I've been privy to them for quite some time. And that doesn't make me a sellout. It makes me say, you know what? I'm happy that I get the opportunity to go hang out with people that aren't caught up on race every 5 seconds. The Princeton black kids go on to say this. At a white-serving and male-serving institution like Princeton University, which they chose, with ties to slavery, racial and gender exclusion, we must hold our university and each other accountable. That's what the pro-segregation statement says. Folks, I don't know, it's a private school, so you don't pay for it, but those kids pay for it. You're paying for it because society is making sure you pay for it. This ends up in this type of thought process ends up permeating all over. Do you think this ends at Princeton? Let me put it to you that way. This leftist group, they go on to complain about how there exists special housing for environmental and art groups, but none for gays or blacks. And I say, you know what? Neither does the world. The world doesn't cater to you because of your sexual peccadillos or the color of your skin. I mean, what irony. Social justice warriors claim to seek unity, and they want to accomplish unity by excluding others based on one's skin color and demanding separate housing. And what's funny, I already thought that the academia was supposedly one of these bastions of diversity. It's owned by liberalism. If you're complaining to the left about liberalism, about academia, that's like, the bacon saying, where's the grease coming from? Unbelievable. Here's an idea. Why not set up separate schools for black students so they could all live in harmony in their ethnocentric racist world? Right? Oh, wait. We have those schools. That's right. The historically black colleges and universities already exist. Dumb me. So having almost exclusively black schools isn't enough for black students, black leftists. See, apparently black leftists reject HBCUs so they could go mainstream, and then they segregate themselves at the mainstream colleges and universities, all for the sake of social justice and unity. I get it. Holy Jim Crow, Batman. I think I understand. If our civil rights leaders could just wake up and see what the world has become under liberalism. Look, I understand not wanting to go to an HBCU. Tell somebody you graduated from there, nobody even blinks. You would do better by saying I went to Ohio State. But why do black students expect to have the black experience away from black colleges? How about having the college experience? Anything less is a power play. Something, by the way, the black leftists love is the power play. And truth be told, black leftists hate that white kids get a better education by going to these white institutions. And the goal of blacks, if they were to tell you, the black leftists, are to dumb down the rest of the world. Because diversity, for social engineering's sake, has dumbed down regular colleges as it has HBCUs. And if academia doesn't watch out, PC culture is going to ruin the whole game. I'm just telling you. Some say it already has.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.